Hey folks, Curtis Stone here. We are going to carry on our video series where we're looking at all the states and provinces of North America and evaluating the best places for homesteads and, looking at some of the places to avoid and considerations along the way. So today we're going to get into a very highly requested state, and that's the state of Missouri. I actually just got back from Missouri. I was down for the Doug and Stacy Homesteading Life Conference. It was a lot of fun. We're going to take a look at the state of Missouri. Now, I'll say right out of the gate, Missouri is one of the states that I see a ton of opportunity in lately. Actually, especially the last year, I've seen a lot of really good real estate listings come up in Missouri and good value. And particularly this Ozark region, Mark Twain National Forest, coming down into here. Arkansas is in the same region, even goes through Louisiana in parts and comes into a bit of Oklahoma and a bit of Texas. This whole green area here is a really nice region of the United States in general. And Missouri's got a nice slice of that. And there's something I like about Missouri too, is it's kind of, a lot of it is like a zone 6, zone 7. And it still has a winter, but it's fairly mild. And it has a warmer spring. The weather can be a bit radical. There are tornado regions in Missouri, and in fact, the region I was just in around this zone here is under a tornado warning right now. So you definitely want to consider that when you're looking at anywhere. Really consider what are your main threats as far as climate, socioeconomics, highways, industry, big ag, you name it. What are your main threats? And Missouri is full of threats. But just like most of the places that I tell people to go to is get on the high ground in the trees. And generally speaking, is a really easy way of summing it up is you want to be in the high ground in the trees. And if you're on the high ground, it's nice to have topography where you've got the property varies in topography. It's not just flat the whole way through. It's nice to have topography. So, we got a lot of roads and highways in Missouri. The places that you want to avoid in the state of Missouri are around the major cities. These 4 areas. St. Louis region is massive. Holy crap. I flew into St. Louis there, and that's a big metropolitan area. Definitely wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. Columbia, Springfield, and Kansas. These are all really big areas. And again, just because we use these big 50-mile circles, it's not like we're saying if you're living here, you're screwed. We're not saying that. We're just generally speaking, places to avoid and places to consider. So definitely want to stay a good distance out of any metropolitan area. And then from there, you want to look at high ground and trees. And I just love these lakes. I mean, it's so cool how these lakes formed. I can't get my head around it. How so much water, if this was formed, like a river, how did it get that way? How did the water flow this way to do that? I can't get my head around it. It's quite fascinating, and they're beautiful. So that's a really good spot to be. And so I would add, we just kind of, my team kind of queued these up for me and just, put some of these areas in here as a place to consider. But yeah, these are in this Mark Twain National Forest. This is beautiful, beautiful country. It's temperate. It is, and there's lots of trees. You're out of the big ag zones. Like in the state of Missouri, these areas up here that are bordering Iowa and Illinois, there's so much big ag up here. Big farms, big center pivots. You just don't really want to be in these areas. The nice thing too is, the nice thing is you get a lot of rain in Missouri, and so you can often irrigate without irrigation at all. Whereas when you see big center pivot irrigation, it's more in places that don't get a ton of rain. So maybe if you come into some of the drier sides of Nebraska, you see these big circles. Those are center pivots. And so those are needed when you don't get enough rain. But in the state of Missouri, you get a lot of rain. But a good amount of rain. It's not necessarily a a dangerous amount. I think a lot of good places you're going to see 40 inches, which is a good amount. But, parts of Arkansas and other parts of Missouri, you'll see like 76 inches of annual rain. That's a lot of rain. You'll get 10 inches over the course of a couple days. In fact, just before I got down there to Missouri on my trip, they had about 8 inches of rain in the last day and a half. So you can get a lot of rain. But you get up in these areas like this where you got lots of trees, some of these little lakes. Like, this is beautiful stuff here. You can really tuck out, neat access. It's a bit windy. It's kind of out of the way, but it's a nice climate. There's lots of cool people. The open carry thing in Missouri is kind of cool. It's cool. I liked it. Every dude I was hanging out with down there had a handgun, often just stuffed into their pants. I don't know if they're expecting all-out war, but hey, Second Amendment, I'm all for it. But yeah, look at this. You can find some spots up in here, just tucked away, even in some of these little valleys here. Probably some beautiful properties, just right out of the way in the sticks, but not so far out that you can get to stuff. Like, you don't have a long drive. If you have to come towards some of these areas here, Jefferson City and stuff, to get things that you need from time to time, it's not a huge commute. And, this whole Memphis, or not Memphis, but Mississippi River Valley is generally you want to avoid. In the United States, there's just a ton of people, and it's agriculture. It's full of chemicals. Like, look at this. It's just big ag, just big monoculture fields. You don't want to be in that stuff. If you do find yourself in these areas, it's definitely best to be tucked into the trees. You'll have less exposure to the weather too, because in these open areas, that wind can come 100-mile-an-hour winds, right? Like, that's serious. But some of these areas up in these mountains, like, this is beautiful stuff. Let's just point out, let's pick a random property and just pretend that it's something we're considering here. Something like this would be sweet. This looks like it could potentially be. Oh, there's another house there. So let's say this might be one, that could be one property, say a 30 acre, 33 acres. And what would that kind of place look like? So you're coming in along this road. It's kind of neat. The road goes through the trees, so you actually have privacy in your pasture. That's kind of cool. Easy access in. Where are we at the timeline here? Last updated image here is November 2023. So not a lot going on here. This is basically, this house is probably part of it, actually. It's probably more that, yeah, that's just some stuff for, maybe running some horses in here. Some kind of shack or shipping container or something. And so, yeah, this house could all be part of it. But, even still, it's good. It's good. You got fields, you've got trees, you're backing onto trees, and you've got some nice topography there, And the great thing about backing on places like this is that, you can just go and explore. I mean, unless your neighbors are really explicit about you not looking around here, or maybe this is state land too, who knows. But backing onto forests like that is ideal. That's great. But you've got some fields that you can use. I mean, yeah, you could make a killer homestead in a place like this. Even more ideal would be as if, this was all of this. It probably could be, because this could be a total of 60 acres if you were to just include all of this, which could be actually what it is. That actually could be the parcel right there, 68 acres, one house. That's a nice size property. I always look for ponds. I don't see any, but you could probably pick a spot to make a pond fairly easily on this property. Looking at the topography and the way the water sheds when it hits, water always finds the low point, the center. And so you might be able to even put a pond here. And you can divert, in a climate like Missouri, with the amount of rain you can get, you can use French drains to divert water to a place. So let's say, for example, we wanted to build a pond somewhere in the center, which would be somewhere along here, basically. But you could put a pond here, just say, and let's say you wanted to divert water to there. You could cut a French drain. So this is going to shed down here. Oh, it's going to hit that road. And there's probably some kind of ditch. There should be a ditch on the high side of that road, and then it will go to a culvert somewhere. And then that water is going to collect. But you could cut a ditch along this field, say, and catch and just slightly divert, put it at like a 3% drop, and just take water to fill up to this. So anything coming down here and running through that open area is going to hit that ditch or French drain. A French drain is basically a ditch with a drain tile pipe in it, like a 4-inch perforated pipe with a sock on it, filled with some drain rock, so that you can drive over it, walk over it. You don't want to have it on a roadway, but on a field, it can just essentially be, and it'll turn into its own natural riparian area. You'll see just grass will green up there, and then things will want to grow there, and that's fine, and you can keep it that way. But then it can just move water to a point. So you could put a pond right in a place like that, even in a place like this that has a decent amount of topography. But that would be a sweet little parcel of land. It's at the end of this road. That's always ideal if your property's on the end of a road. But yeah, that would be something like that. So if you guys, like me, want to learn more about how to look for properties and analyze this stuff, I'm doing this just really broadly as we go through this series of videos. But I put together a course called Finding the Perfect Homestead Property. And I've got a free online course that'll tell you all about it, and also give you 3 secrets on how to evaluate land so you don't make these mistakes yourself. And so the first one is looking at my most expensive mistakes, the most expensive mistakes that people make and how to avoid them. Number 2 is my criteria that I use to evaluate a property. It looks at our framework and how we rate properties. And then number 3 is how to use Google Earth, and some 3 basic tricks you can use to just to use it effectively, as you see me doing in these videos. So there'll be a link to that free web class somewhere in this video. Go check that out. But yeah, we've got lots of sweet spots in Missouri, and there's actually a lot of forest. You get out of these. So this is peri-urban, semi-rural. This is peri-urban, but yeah, you want to be where there's trees and high ground. And that's what I like about mountainous areas like this, because you can tuck away. But Missouri's got so many places like that. Even at upper state here, not bad either. I generally prefer the lower state, but if you come into a place like this around this little town called Memphis, you can see there's these rural pockets along these tributaries. And so you'll find cool little zones in there where you've got microclimates, wind protection from the trees and such. And they're quite nice. And you can, there's other spots up, again, looking at these pockets of rural areas. These are kind of cool spots to consider. I probably wouldn't want to be right down in this river valley, but up in these areas like this, beautiful topography, a little bit more, quite a lot more trees down in these regions. But again, just because I didn't feature your area, or you might be in one of these areas, don't take it literally. It's just, we're talking really broadly on places that you might want to consider and places you might want to avoid. But yeah, that's some food for thought there with Missouri, folks. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments where you think we should look next. All right, we'll see you in the next one.